Welcome to JobSkillShare.com. This is your host Ali Ibrahim. Today we're going to be talking about the Linux distribution. Distribution is also short for distro. Either you can say distro or distribution. Um, it's nothing but an operating system built on top of the Linux kernel and often around the package management system. So the kernel is actually a program that constitutes the central core of a computer operating system. Like it has complete control over everything that occurs in the system. So when a computer crashes, it actually means that the kernel had crashed. And the package management system is also called package manager. Is a collection of software tools to automate the process of installing, upgrading, configuring, and removing software packages for a computer operating system in a consistent manner. It typically maintains a database of software dependencies and version information to prevent software mismatch and basically missing prerequisites. Um, Linux distribution usually includes a very large collection of free and open source software of all sorts. So the software is usually adapted to the distribution and is being packaged into many different software packages by the actual distribution maintainers. So the software packages are available online in called repositories on various server around the world. And basically there are currently over 600 Linux distributions. Like over 300 of those are active, and most of them you know are not active. So because most of the kernel and supporting packages are free and open source software, Unix distribution has taken a wide variety of forms, from fully featured desktop, server, laptop, netbook, mobile phone, and of course tablet operating system. So originally, the Linux kernel, which you can see in the picture, which is around the hardware, the idea was developed, designed in 1991 by Linus Torvalds. Um, he actually developed the Linux kernel and distributed its first version, which was 0.01. It was distributed as a kernel source only, um, then as a pair of downloadable floppy disk images, and so basically that was the first a kernel that was actually distributed back in 1991, and then people start using this concept to develop you know their own Linux operating systems, their own actual distributions. So I'm gonna show you some of the early distributions that actually was designed. So if you go to this website, you can see originally it was in 1992, between 1991 and 1992. If you scroll down, you can see Debian, which is also in distribution, which was designed in between around 1993, and you can scroll down to see, yeah, you can see that the earliest one is something called MCC Interim Linux, which was made available to the public for download on the FTP server of the University of Manchester in February 1992. Now, and this Temu, it was created by an individual at Texas A&M University about the same time. And if you scroll down, we have something called SLS, which was another distribution. It was not well maintained. So what happened is Slackware, a person named Patrick Walkerding, he released a distribution based on the SLS, which he called like Slackware, in 1993. And this is actually the oldest distribution that is still in active like development. So um, basically, Linux, some of these distributions can be used for both commercial and non-commercial purposes. And Linux, they can be designed for enterprise users, power users, or even home users. And of course, it can be run on server desktops, like in embedded devices. And basically, the main purpose of Linux was like primarily for security, usability, portability, and comprehensiveness. And most of these you can actually um, download them into your computer, or if you just want to run it from a CD, which is called like live, you can just actually run the actual Linux from a CD without even installing into your computer. So some of them, if you really want to try it out, they are like Canopix. And if you see Canopix, let's see, where is Canopix? Yeah, it's basically right here. Canopix. Canopix, this is one of the Linux distribution that you can download and run it from us, and then install it into copy it into a CD actually, and you can actually run it live from the CD. So Canopix was based on, you can see, Debian. So what this chart tells is I think it's a very cool chart that tells you that these actual distribution, like all of the, like BOS, PureOS, Nepa Linux, all of these are based on the idea of Debian. So if you go down and you see these were these are discontinued ones. You can see this is where the graph ended. So these, like Bogus, Mini, Monkey, these are not, there anymore. Basically, they just stop. You know, and you can see here some of them started around here, which is you can see 2005. Like for example, DSLN, which started in 2006 and lasted, I think you can say, a few months. And somebody tried to come up with the Canopix, which went into damn small Linux. And then somebody tried to come in with another distribution called Hikara Unix, based on the idea of damn small Linux. Now you can see here somebody tried to come up with something called Parsec, which was based on the idea of Canotix, and the Canotix was based on the idea of Canopix, and the Canopix was based on the idea of Debian. But you can see some of them didn't even last, a year or so. And basically the distribution that I'm using, that I'm very familiar with, is something called like Red Hat Linux. And that one actually came out, is this a Red Hat, this is where the Red Hat family started, which is around, if you scroll up, and you can see this is around 1995, close to 1995. And you can see the red line, which is straight, and then it gets converted into Red Hat Enterprise, which is for the businesses. And then you can see it's another one involved, which is called Oracle Enterprise, based on the idea of Red Hat Enterprise. And you can see the graph, and it's still in the market and very successfully running. And so this chart is very helpful. You can actually go to Wikipedia and go through this chart and see, all these like crappy names, that will tell you what kind of distribution it is, what is it based on, the original family like Slackware, the original family like this Red Hat, and the other one is the famous one is um, Debian. So I'm gonna show you the one that actually, and yeah, one more thing is you can go to the website called DistroWatch, and you can scroll down and you can see page hit ranking, and this ranking actually tells you which are the most popular one in the market right now. So if you look at this HPD, which is hits per day, Mint was downloaded like or viewed 3,582 times in one day. So this three look like Mint, Debian, and Ubuntu. These looks very popular. So let's say if you want to download Mint, you can click on Mint, and then you can see it's a Linux type operating system, type is Linux, and you can see the screenshot of how it looks like. This is actually the desktop looks like. You can see the menu and start menu, and this is actually the main desktop for Mint. And you can see it was originally designed in Ireland, and so the category is if you are a beginner. I think this is a great start. So, and the status is still active, so they're still developing and making improvements. So if you need to download this, you can go down and look at the download meter, and you click on the download meter, and you can choose which one you need. This is whether your computer is 32-bit or 64-bit, and just you can go ahead and download it. So what I would download is for my desktop computer, yeah, I would go with KDE. Basically, this should be a good one to start with. There's so many different types you can see of the Mint itself. So this is a very cool website, which is called DistroWatch. This is distrowatch.com. And if you want to order a CD, you can actually pay like a few bucks, and you can order a CD as well. And the actual distribution that I'm using, which is I told you, is Red Hat Enterprise Linux 5, and I can show you how it looks like. It's just restoring the like a virtual machine state, that I actually had to cut off the virtual machine in the middle. So It's very secure. Passwords are case sensitive, so if you don't type what the password is, if it's capital, it has to be capital, otherwise the system is going to reject. So you can actually see my computer, and then my folder, like this is my home directory where I can have all my files. And basically, like I said earlier, that most of the time everyone at work will be working on this terminal. So you will not have access to this whole Windows, that has all these features you can see. You will only have access to this terminal, and you will most likely see a dollar sign. The reason behind the dollar sign is it's used for a regular user. So if I want to, let's say if you are an administrator, I can use the command su and root, and then I can type the password, and now you can see the sign changes to some sort of like a number or pound. This means that you're in administrator mode now, so you can make all sort of changes. You can do anything you want. So with the just a dollar sign, you are most likely a regular user, and you will have a limited functionality to the actual server. And basically that's it for today. And I hope I highly recommend that you guys can go to this website called distrowatch.com, and go through the distribution and see which ones are the popular one. I highly recommend like one of these, like main Debian or Ubuntu for a beginner. This will be a good start. And best of luck, everyone.